Of all the countries' militaries in the world, the United States outspends every one. But a growing and formidable power on the world stage is China, and by 2050, this huge nation believes it might be able to take the top spot. What is needed for a country to maintain a massive military? Join The Richest as we explore the amount of money and resources needed for China to have one of the strongest armies in the world. While you're here, click on that subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest things that money can buy, armed forces included. China is currently building up their military under the leadership of Xi Jinping, who removed term limits and paved the way for himself to be elected for life in office. The General Secretary of the Communist Party of China has created a culture that embraces hard and fast decisions, whether at home, in the South China Sea, or abroad. But what goes into funding one of the strongest and fastest-growing militaries in the world for the most populous country on Earth? Lots and lots of money. Behind the United States and Russia, it's the nation with the third most powerful military, and that's with thanks not only to its nearly 1.4 billion-strong population, but also the generally growing economy its citizens are able to support. Out of over 621 million Chinese citizens who are fit to serve in the military, and with nearly 20 million men and women reaching serving age on a yearly basis, the pool is massive. There may only be just under 2.7 million individuals enrolled in service, including those in the reserves, but that's still a heavy fighting force. In terms of land-based vehicular strength, China comes in second behind Russia. Its army uses 13,050 tanks, 40,000 reinforced combat vehicles, and 4,000 pieces of artillery that can operate of their own volition. Although its air strength is only half about that of the United States, the Chinese come in second worldwide, with their fighter collection at just over 1,200 and general attack craft at just under 1,600. With 1,000 helicopters, their chopper collection ranks third in the world. They rank second, eerily enough, in watercraft behind North Korea, the country with the most water-based assets. China's 714 naval craft includes 76 submarines, 33 destroyers, and 1 aircraft carrier. With a working population over 5 times the size of the United States, China's citizens can generate an economy that supports the military investments their country is making. In order to feed all these men and women, provide them with uniforms and housing, and support the growing numbers in their armed forces, China's defense budget is at $224 billion annually. That said, despite their size, they still come behind the U.S. in spending, which has a $686 billion budget for 2019. To maintain their gradually increasing military numbers, they have a financial reserve of $3.2 trillion, while still dealing with a nearly $1.6 trillion debt situation. With Xi Jinping the public face of the country, and with China's growing confidence on the world stage, it makes sense that the Chinese would continue to increase their military spending. Surprisingly, the country isn't exactly going full steam ahead and building up in a way that would make their military force neck to neck with the United States. Their budget increased by just over 8% from the year 2017 to 2018, a slight decrease from years past where the annual spending would increase by a double-digit percentage. Still, the info we get on their spending numbers comes from China itself. It comes from what the country chooses to report to the United Nations, and that number is actually believed to be smaller than what they actually spend. Since this information is voluntarily given to the UN by all countries involved, groups like the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute suggest that China's actual spending for, say, the year 2017 was $228 billion, even though they only publicized a budget of around $151 billion. The United States does this as well, publicizing a 2016 budget of $180 billion, while watchdog groups projected the country's 2016 budget was closer to just under $200 billion. It's been said that the recent trade war between China and the United States has has had an effect on China's economy as a whole. That might explain why the 2019 military budget showed a slight decrease in the amount of growth in funding, increasing 7.5% in spending from 2018. That said, Xi Jinping has promised to lead his country to reaching full capacity with an updated and state-of-the-art arsenal by the year 2035. He expects the country to have the most formidable military in the world by 2050. As of 2018, China is still only spending 1.3% of gross domestic product on defense, compared to the United States' 3.1%. But that doesn't mean they're totally outmanned and outgunned. China can use partnerships with its allies to reach Xi Jinping's goals by the middle of the century. America's F-117 Nighthawk currently holds superiority over China's similar craft, while China's Chengdu J-20 can nearly match the F-117 in the realm of speed and agility. It can't go pound for pound with its American counterpart's air-to-ground functionality. And regarding their sea-based vehicles, China's second-place status in sonar, radar, and sensory detection might place them above the countries around its borders. But in competing against other global superpowers, second place makes much of their technological advances moot. Especially since, with our modern-day digital sensory systems, full stealth is hard to achieve. It's also pretty hard to get modern technology when you're still using fifth-generation fighters for much of your fleet, as China is. Both software and hardware, like turbofan engines and fighter jets, are generally considered to be of a lesser quality. China's J-15 fighters, for instance, will often have to take off without a portion of fuel or weaponry, so they're light enough to fly off the narrow aircraft carrier ramp at their disposal. These little problems have caused several accidents and fatalities, and so as of late, China has had to drop plans for stealth upgrades in exchange for pilot safety and money concerns. Reports indicate that China's Academy of Military Science hired nearly 250 technology experts to improve the Chinese military's AI capabilities and civilian engagement. This could both increase its technical manpower as well as place less soldiers in harm's way by replacing them with state-of-the-art drones and computerized methods instead. It's been reported that the Chinese have resorted to stealing technology and using intelligence to try to catch up in the arms race. New accounts state that China has even been using U.S. satellites to improve their own military and security standing. The Chinese leadership has some big-picture goals for the future of their country. Until then, they'll go full speed ahead to improve their standing, especially with the hubbub surrounding the Chinese government's 70th anniversary in late 2019. So now you know a bit more about one of the strongest armies in the world. Are there any other details you think slipped through the cracks? Can you imagine any other statistics that might shine more light on the secretive world of international defense? Let us know in the comment section below.